Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, back to the Valley of the Judged. I'm not going to fuck it up twice. I am your one and only gaming monk, better known as Mildra, and with me I have one good brother and one good sister here in the monastery. Coming to us from the red corner, the man who I'll be dragging into doing a tier list on Doom at some point in the future. Good brother Sig.
I've already got the tier list made. We just have to get things set up.
I might have an idea for that later. And
excellent.
In the blue corner, coming to us with some very cursed ideas on Eidolons. Good sister Tabby.
Bahamut is daddy. I don't know what you're talking about.
We get it. You want to be stepped on by a dragon.
Hey, I am a dragon. Hello.
That's not a denial.
Nope. Sure ain't.
But we, after a bit of a diversion with Desperados, and I'm very glad for restraint since nobody decided to make the song joke that they could have. We are back with Farsight with our penultimate episode. So last time we covered ships, and there's certainly some nice stuff with it, especially with both ships and mecha, and I appreciated that from what we saw, ships and mecha are not just a standard vehicle with extra steps. Because that's not the fantasy people want when they want ships or they want mecha. They'd want it to be its own beast, essentially. And we certainly have that here. We certainly had that here. But this is where we're going to be getting into something that I've been dancing around and to a certain level been looking forward to for the last few weeks. And that is psionics.
Yay!
Because we kind of hinted at it when we covered the psi class during the character creation episode. But I wanted to see whether or not some of the same traps that have been inflicted upon the world's most litigious role-playing game's use of magic gets carried over with the psionics here.
I'm actually very curious to see what they're gonna do with this.
Mm-hmm. Since, despite some games trying to do to the contrary, whenever you have psionics as just a sci-fi version of magic, that always feels underwhelming because when you look at characters throughout science fantasy, space opera, and whatnot, psionics, psychics are not mages. Before anyone brings up 40k, that is a special case.
No, I think you're right. Psionics are not mages. They're psionics. I mean, it's psychic. It's that kind of power. So
yeah. But in a lot of sci-fi games, they're treated like mages in a different coat of paint, or the game's equivalent to a mage. But
not even in Dungeon Fighter Online, they made the distinction between mages and psychics, or ciphers in this case.
Mm-hmm. And I have seen, obviously doing psychics in TTRPGs has a complicated history. I've gone into that with some games doing it better than others, and then you have psionics back in the days of AD&D, where there was a whole psionic combat system. That didn't last for obvious reasons.
That bad, huh?
Oh, it was completely borked.
Oh. Yep.
Oh. Of course, you have 5th edition dropping the ball with that whole wizards are just psychics who cast spells with their mind bullshit that they tried to pull and kill off the mystic because I guess it was an interesting idea, and we know they can't have that.
Yeah.
I think I could do a whole video on the on how the whole Unearthed Arcana thing of having it be a testing ground for ideas may not have been the best idea, in my personal opinion. Especially when things in Unearthed Arcana end up getting gimped in full releases.
Yeah. Sig's main barbarian character in the Unearthed Arcana, complete badass. In the full release, it's a moment of what's a paladin? You know, it's like what the hell.
Mm-hmm. Now, as always, the art for the chapter is an absolute banger, especially the cover art we've got here.
I absolutely love it.
And of course, we have to bring in an Arthur Clarke quote with the whole magic is science that we don't understand yet.
Mm-hmm.
Now, do I think a psychic could take on a full mecha and win? No. Do I think a psychic could mess around with the footing so that the mecha is like a turtle on his back? Yes.
That would be fun. I approve of that message.
But obviously, first we go into what are psionic powers. You know, the ability to mess with the fabric of reality, all of that stuff. Now, first we have the disciplines. Psionic powers are grouped into 6 disciplines: illusion, metabolysis, or metabiosis. I think it's what that is. Sometimes the I's and L's from a distance blend with this kind of text. Meta-reality, prescience, telepathy, and telekinesis. You have to have access.
I.e. akin to the magic schools of, like, say, D&D and whatnot.
Yo.
A psionicist must have access to a discipline in order to learn powers that belong to it. Sometimes learning a power isn't easy, even with that access. In this sense, it's up to the GM to determine which powers are automatically or easily available, and which ones need to be discovered or rediscovered in some way. Characters who undertake the Psi class immediately have access to a discipline and will access other disciplines as their level increases. Other characters may gain access to a psionic discipline through talents or other special features. Additionally, some characters or creatures may have access to a specific power or limited list of powers, thanks to specific abilities or traits. In these cases, access to these powers is automatic and is not linked to the disciplines. And before we get any further, I want to go back and look at the Psi class. Because what I want to see is remind myself about the rates. So you get 1 discipline at first level, and you get another one at 7th, 13th, and 19th level. So at most you're going to have 4 disciplines that you have access to, which means unless you specifically build around it, it's unlikely that you will have every discipline you can get. Some races do have access to a discipline just as a racial feature. Although, let me see the psionic aptitude thing. I want to double check if that gives an additional. So let me look at that talent. No, it does not. It just gives you more stuff you can do with psychics. So at the end of the day, it's not going to be possible to get all 6 disciplines. It looks like, which
makes things more interesting.
Mm-hmm. Then we have psi points, which is going to be your fuel. A character who can manifest psionic powers has a pool of psi points. Each power is a psi point cost and indicates the minimum number of psi points that must be spent in order to manifest it. If you don't have enough psi points left to cover the cost of a power, you can't manifest it. Finishing a full rest restores all psi points spent. Sometimes characters or creatures might have special abilities that allow them to manifest psionic powers without consuming psi points. In these cases, the number of times these powers can be manifested before they need to rest is specified. Also, since they do not require psi points, these powers cannot be incremented by spending a higher number of psi points.
So, no overextending yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Then we have Praxis. And given the description that's gone, Praxis are essentially cantrips in all but name. Although each Praxis is related to a discipline or more than one, they do not actually belong to any of them, being basic exercises. So, like I said, Praxis is your equivalent to cantrips. You know, little tricks that you can do, but not something that's going to require a whole lot of investment. But then we get to manifesting powers. So the first part is the psionic point cost, which, as mentioned, is the minimum. You can spend a maximum up to the psionic limit. And when you manifest a psionic power, you can decide to increment it, meaning you spend a number of psi points higher than its base cost, up to a maximum equal to your psionic limit. As the psi points spent increase, the effects of the power become more and more powerful. So, essentially, you have your overcasting with this.
Or like beefing up your magical feedback with a Shadowrun mage.
Yep. So then we have manifestation time. Most powers require an action to manifest. But there are some exceptions. Some can be done as a minor action, some as a reaction, and some take longer. If it takes longer than an action or reaction, you must spend your action each turn for the indicated time, and you must maintain your concentration while you do so. If your concentration is interrupted, the power fails, but you don't expend psi powers. If you want to try and manifest it again, you must start over. I like that that losing concentration doesn't mean you waste powers or waste the points. Which I think is what was meant by you don't expend psi powers. I think that was meant to be points. I've made no bones about the issues with concentration in more ubiquitous role-playing games. But then we have range, which is pretty self-explanatory. Usually they're touch, some are self, some are larger. It depends on the power. Same thing with duration. If a power needs to be maintained through concentration, it'll be indicated under the same entry, along with how long you can maintain concentration on it. Then the effects, which includes targets, and the fact that in order to target, you need a clear path, unless you're targeting yourself, obviously. Area of effect, which is self-explanatory. Then psionic attacks and psionic force. Psionic attacks is the attack roll with psionics. It is 2d12 plus intelligence plus any points in the psionics skill. And psionic force is 12 plus your intelligence and the psionic skill. So if a power requires a saving throw and whatnot.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there are special rules for these.
Yep. Then we have damage, which is just standard damage die. though since it's on a category things, you can mess around with damage if need be. But yeah, then we have special rules. The first being over manifesting. You can tap into your own life force to be able to manifest more powerful powers. At the beginning of your turn, you can decide to over manifest. If you do so, you take 1d8 psychic damage, but for the rest of that turn, your psionic limit increases by 1 from normal. If you over manifest again before completing a full rest, the psychic damage you take increases by plus 1d8 with each time after the first. The damage ignores any resistance or immunity.
So you can overextend yourself.
Mm-hmm. So you brought up Shadowrun earlier. Here's your spell. Here's your drain.
Yep.
And over manifesting it's not, because it's just increasing the cap. This does mean that it's not as overly useful as it could have been otherwise. Like if it was giving you extra psionic points, that would be a little bit too useful.
Mm-hmm.
But instead, this means that you can spend more on effects, but you still have to spend.
Mm-hmm.
Then counter manifestation. So here's our counter spells. You can counter manifest as a reaction when you see a creature within 20 meters of you manifesting a power. To do so, you must spend a number of psi points equal to those used by the creature to manifest its power, up to your limit. If these psi points you spend are not enough, you consume them anyway, but your counter manifestation attempt fails. If they are enough, you make an intelligence psionics check with a DC equal to the creature's psionic force. If you succeed, the creature's power fails and has no effect. If I wanted to be particularly malicious as a GM with this sort of thing, I would not say how many points a NPC is spending for that manifestation. To have somebody guess and bid a certain amount.
So you'd make your players gamble.
Yeah.
That is absolutely devious, and I love it.
See, then we have dissipating. So basically, you can dissipate an already active effect. As an action, choose a creature, object, or area within 20 meters of you that is affected by an active psionic effect. To dissipate the effect, you must spend a number of psi points at least equal to those used to create it, up to your psionic limit. If these psi points you spend are not enough, you consume them anyway, but your attempt to dissipate the effect fails. If they are enough, you make an intelligence psionics check with a DC equal to the psionic force of the creature that created the psionic effect. If not specified, it's up to the GM to determine the DC of the check. If the check is successful, the effect ends. Then we have combining psionic effects. The effects of different powers add together while the durations of those powers overlap. However, the effect of the same power performed multiple times on the same target doesn't combine. Instead, the most potent effect, for example, the one that is the highest psi point spent, will apply as long as the durations overlap. So no overly stacking. Now, if you try and manifest under stressful or difficult situations, the GM may ask you to make an intelligence psionics check to see whether or not you can focus enough to actually manifest the power. The DC of the check is equal to 14 plus the psi points spent on the power. In the case of Apraxis, which does not require psi points to manifest, the DC is just 14. If successful, you manifest. If not, you don't. The armor penalty caused by wearing armor applies to checks made to manifest psionic powers under difficult conditions.
Which makes sense. You're not going to be throwing out frickin' mind blasts with armor.
Mm-hmm. Unless you specifically built around that.
Mm-hmm.
But
I mean, maybe you're not doing Mind Blast with armor, but I mean, this cat I think is.
But then psionic bond. Forming a bond is another method in which psionists can increase the level of their powers. A psionic bond involves two or more psionists joining their minds for a common purpose. Members of a bond can be of any level or class, but they must be able to manifest powers and possess a pool of psi points. One of the participants must take on the role of leader of the bond, that is, the one who leads the group and actually manifests the powers. To form a bond, each participant must be within 1 meter of at least one other participant. At that point, everyone makes an intelligence psionics check as part of the action. The DC of the check depends on the number of participants, as indicated in the psionic bond table. If all participants succeed, the bond is formed. Otherwise, the bond does not form, and the participants will have to try again. And we do have a table for the DC when it comes to the number of participants. Once it's formed, it can be maintained indefinitely, but to do so, each participant, apart from the leader, must take an action during their turn and maintain concentration on the bond, as if they're maintaining concentration on a power. If only one participant loses its concentration, doesn't take its action to maintain the bond, or is no longer adjacent to at least one other participant, the bond is severed. As long as the bond is active, the leader can manifest powers that are stronger than normal, gaining a bonus to their psionic limit. The value of this bonus depends on the number of participants in the bond, as indicated on the psionic bond table. However, when the leader manifests a power that requires psi points, every other participant in the bond must spend 1 psi point. If just one of the participants runs out of psi points or does not use the psi point when required, the bond is severed. Which, given all that, I'm kind of on the fence about whether or not a increased psionic limits is enough of a benefit for what you're doing with this kind of group casting, essentially.
It's certainly an interesting idea. I mean, I can imagine like psionic cults doing something like this.
Mm-hmm.
Psionic cult. That's scary.
Yep. Then we have.
And now I want.
Yep. Then we have the powers, and for a book this size, the book page count and pages of spells isn't that big compared to some other offenders. Because you look at the power list, there's more praxis than there are discipline powers.
Mm-hmm.
So I think with each one, there's only around five discipline powers per discipline.
Fairly digestible, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
Gonna send you a telekinetic shock.
And obviously, with the praxis, since these are lesser abilities, they're mostly one action abilities, and much like with cantrips, the more offensive ones do scale with level. I do find it interesting that several of them don't use the same skill. But I think the first one that Tabby would probably grab is Radiant Bolt.
Maybe. Still kind of want to use a telekinetic shock on Sig, though.
What did I do?
What didn't you do?
See, that kind of phrase is usually reserved for me.
I'm like looking over like this metabolic spasm and stuff, where it's just because like yeah, Radiant Bolt is cool, and it's like I love the dazzle idea and all that, but like, um, you know, there's so much more than just your Eldritch Blast, if you will, or Sacred Flame, that kind of thing. There's a little bit more in there than just that.
But
And also, I like psychological horror and thrillers and stuff like that, and all of that. When you write it, is all about the senses, and so I'm like, oh, I'm kind of liking most of these.
uh, although given some of the horror I see some people watching, apparently they understand the senses, but not the sense of taste.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, then again, it's a free country and they are free to be wrong. But when I look at the individual powers that are part of the discipline, the smaller size starts to make more sense. Because each of these powers has a bunch of different potential effects. Like camouflage, you can either do illusory appearance, blur, imposing appearance, invisibility, or enduring visibility. And for each point spent in addition to the base cost, you can increase the duration for 1 hour. Or, as well as target one additional creature within range. So when you get a discipline power, you're essentially getting a small package of effects. Which I like that instead is combining
Instead of having
Go ahead.
I was about to say, instead of having a bunch of, a huge list of spells with a variety of different effects or like greater effects, of the same spell.
Mm-hmm. Like, I know I use this as my whipping boy, but does a spell book really need 15 different versions of protection from or detect?
No, not really.
And that was always a dumb thing. Imagine a separate protection from spell for all 9 alignments.
That would just become a nightmare.
Oh, that was D&D 3rd edition and Pathfinder 1st edition are the two biggest offenders when it comes to the pages versus pages of spells ratio.
Mm-hmm.
But then we have metabiosis, which states the powers of this discipline affect the metabolism and life force of living creatures, including yourself.
Mm-hmm. Like this one.
With them, you can change the shape, size, and physiology of creatures. You can heal, reinvigorate, regenerate, and even bring dead creatures back to life. But at the same time, you can weaken, exhaust, and plague the metabolism of your enemies.
The affliction one is insane.
Mm-hmm. And obviously, the minimum cost obviously is 1 point for a lot of these, but each effect will list the minimum cost, and keep in mind that is capped at your psionic limit, which I believe that is something we haven't covered it. We haven't covered psionic limit yet, so I'm gonna be loading up the PDF in a different tab, so I'm not double dipping or anything like that, because I want to look back at character creation once again to see if I can find where actually why am I saying that? Okay, so looking back at the psi class, for starters, right out of the gate you get 2 praxis and 1 power. Now, because of how multi-purpose each power can be, that 1 power limitation isn't as bad as it might appear to be. At most, you will have 4 powers. So, the idea of a psi having a spell book like amount of effects isn't really a thing here. And only being able to access one discipline isn't as restrictive as it may sound. But obviously, your power points is equal to 6 plus your intelligence, and you get an additional one each level you get beyond first, or whenever your intelligence goes up. So you're gonna have plenty of points to burn, but the power limit at first and second level, no more than 2 points. Third and fourth, 3 points. Fifth through 7th, fifth through 8th, 4 points. 9th through 12th, 5 points. 13th through 16th, 6 points. And 17th through 20, 7 points. So some of the high end stuff that you see some psionic effects in this, you're not even going to be able to use, because that limit is how many points you can spend on an effect. So at the gate, you couldn't do paralysis for biopsionic affliction, because it's got a minimum cost of 4, and you're only spending 2 points at that level. Which does mean that increasing the point limit is going to have its own benefits. And with some,
I think it also
good.
is this makes it not too good to use, if you will. Like, you have enough points to make it so that you can be like, okay, well, I'm going to take the power of the like me, I usually would take Metabiosis first as a primary healer character, and I'd be like, okay, well, now I'm going to use, this biopsionic protection at level 2, and I can do that, and do that kind of thing. Or the regeneration, you can't even use regeneration until it looks like you're level 3 or 4. I don't remember when you said you could do 3.
You can do 3 at 3rd level.
Yeah, so you could do minor regeneration at level 3. You can do like the restoration stuff. You could do restoring conditions at level 3 and stuff. So it kind of just, it makes it so you have like a little kit, it feels like.
Pretty much. And then we have the good.
I was about to say, and if you do like they do in 5e, I mean, you could probably switch them out between levels if that's what you wanted to do, but you'd only be limited to that number, of the given level of the psi.
Anytime you get a new level, you can replace a power with another of your choice, as long as it's of a discipline you can access.
There you go.
Personally, I'm a little bit more open to power swapping, in that where I'd allow it during downtime.
I was gonna ask if that would be a thing, because I mean, like, with it only having one power, yes, you can cast it a lot more and stuff, but like, if you can only get up to, I think it's like 4 powers, then it's having. So say you go and you get the, what was this one I saw down here? It was basically like the Irresistible Dance one. And you get that one, but then you're like, well, maybe I should have actually gotten this other one. I cannot find the one I'm looking for, but like Telekinetic Barrier or something like that instead. Being able to change that during downtime, it makes it a lot more like you're catering to not only a strategy play, but also like making it so it's, I don't know, I would feel like more in character, if you will.
Especially since there's from what I saw when it came to talents, there's not real. I didn't see a whole lot in the way of talents that let you get more powers. they let you do more stuff with the powers, but for
So it's
example,
kind of feeling.
the illusionist talent tree. First, you get malleable illusions, so you get a few more things you can do with it. As well as just a few tricks that lean into the illusionist theme. Same thing with mentalist for the telepathy discipline. And you do have...
as someone who plays characters that have all of those, all the powers at once, but you just kind of like, my character literally in CNC prays in the morning to make sure that he has the powers. Well, he would, if we were playing D&D, he would be praying to his god in the morning and being like, hey, I want this power instead of that one or something like that, which I did frequently. And when we were playing D&D, it's like, I'm changing my powers to this today, I'm changing my powers to this today.
Yeah.
So
oh, and okay, I do take it back. The psionic versatility talent does let you get access to a new discipline and a new psionic power. If you take that, if you're not a psionic, you get a daily pool of psi points equal to 4 plus your intelligence and learn 1 psionic power, with your limit being your level divided by 3. So there is that way to get a new psionic power, but even then, that's you. It's not like you can take. It's not like you can. You can take it multiple times.
I'm liking this instill emotion.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's like, there's calm emotion, but there's also fear. There's the heroism spell. There's like all the spells that well, my warlock would have spells that were mainly just to, like, of course, Eldritch Blast all the time, but also I was mainly battlefield control after that, with things like that. And so it was like instill emotion, and there's other ones that just really kind of make it so that, like, there's the irresistible dances, instill compulsion. That's like I think my favorite one so far is either the instill compulsion or instill emotion, and I was like, they both are the ones that I would be most like. I think I'd be telepathy, even though I like the other ones. I still think telepathy would be like my primary one.
I think what's in the back of my mind is how easy it would be to gish, and given the psionic blade abilities as well as psionic not abilities, talents, as well as psychic fighter, I think a gish build wouldn't be too hard to do.
Do like a Dark Templar from StarCraft.
That'd be fun too. I'm looking at more the I don't know. I'm trying to think of which kind of thing I would want to go with on that.
But I do appreciate the fact that even if you dedicate yourself to try and get as many powers as possible, you're not going to be able to get all the powers. And you're not, and even at the most varied amount of power slots that you have, you still don't have all that many. And let me double check when it comes to praxis, because I need to remind myself how many potential praxis you can get.
Those are I'm going to mispronounce this, but I think it's prescience.
It's prescience. You were right.
Okay.
So you start with 2.
Like,
you cap out at 6. That we saw that there's a lot more than 6 praxis there, but then there is the meta reality discipline. So this is the messing around with the fabric of reality kind of effects. So the dimensional anomaly, gravitational anomaly, teleportation. Those who played any sort of biotic build in Mass Effect, you're gonna be right at home with this. Temporal alteration, translation, which translation is not a universal translator. It is allowing you to warp space-time to move about.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
I do wonder what the difference between teleportation. It's a different setup, and it's one that is going to be expensive. Like, teleportation requires at least 6 psi points. But
Malik.
Good.
Malik, get me to this place. And then he's going to complain about not being a taxi. And this one makes it so that you can't be a taxi.
Yep. I think swapping translation is a fun thing to potentially do.
Oh, goodness.
Which costs 3 psionic points minimum. As an action, choose a small or medium creature you can see within 12 meters of you, plus an additional 4 meters for each psi point spent in addition to the base cost. You and the target are teleported into each other's position. If the target is unwilling, you can make a willpower fortitude saving throw, negating the power's effects if it succeeds.
Yeah, that's actually pretty useful.
I could see, like, in our campaign is like, if freaking Faye had that, like, she just, like, go up there, they would try to hit her and then be like, or she would run back or something, and then to where Finn is, and then she'd be like, hey, I'm just gonna swap translation here, and now you're right next to our tanks. Enjoy death!
You're thinking a bit small. What you do is just step on a trap and then do it.
Well, yeah, you could do that too. But I mean, I'm just like, there's not a lot of traps in the street right now.
You could always do it just before you step into an open manhole.
Oh, that would be a thing. Also, don't give this to Faye. She would just be using it all the time.
Either that, or potentially use it when, like, stand in front of train tracks and then use it at the last minute.
Okay, that's rude.
Was that any more rude than what you were suggesting?
I mean, it's a train.
Yeah, and?
Then again, we have a habit of beheading people. I think Carmen has, like, a little tally of how many heads she's lopped off in the campaign so far in the back.
Is she up to 7?
7 or 8. I don't know. She's got a rolling tab on the back of her shield, apparently.
I have to revisit this GIF.
Oh, God.
Checking the Sacristi chat.
I'm going. Hold on.
I love it.
Why? That's my brother in a nutshell right there, though.
I was gonna use that or the Mind Turtle. Why is it called a Mind Turtle? Because, well,
Uh-oh.
because it's exactly what it says on the tin.
Oh. Oh, God. Now why do I want to put that in any game I do now?
Do not put a mine turtle. You already have the alligator.
I didn't do a Mind Turtle. I did a Claymore Roomba.
Oh, shit.
No, Sig has a freaking crocodile named William. No, William the alligator. Sorry, alligator. My bad.
Mm-hmm.
He has William the alligator.
Is this a bad time to mention Gubat Bunwa has Alligator Knights?
Oh, gosh.
Which is or I guess I should say Alligator Cavaliers.
That sounds awesome. That sounds awesome.
Yeah, but See, then we have prescience, starting with premonition.
So this is basically your divination discipline.
And a bit of mind reading, since psionic comprehension is more or less doing that. So this is where you can get things like tongues, as well as scrying. Though it's mostly tongues until you get at higher levels, because the cheapest thing for psionic comprehension is comprehend languages. While the most expensive is talking stones, which is scrying in all but name. See, then you have psionic detection, so this is your detect stuff. And psionic knowledge, so if you want to mess around with knowledge you normally don't have, this is one way to do it.
Yeah, I like those though. Like, I like all of that because it's just stuff that we use all the time. Like, you don't know how valuable having that kind of thing is, because it's like it is just valuable. It's valuable to have.
Yep. And then we have telekinesis, which I feel like I'd be using quite a bit, especially things like boosted strike.
Yeah, that sounds right up your alley.
So let's see. Dashing strike gives an additional 1d10 kinetic damage, and they have to do a strength might save or get knocked prone, and also be deafened. This is booming blade. It's just booming blade.
This is what Finn would get. Like, even if he can't use most of the other stuff, he would just get boosted strike probably, just because it's like it's got all of basically like the paladin-y type things, if you will. Like all of the blades that you can get.
I never play a straight paladin. I would always play a palarer, a sorcerer paladin combo, for no other reason than to get more spell slots so I can do more smites.
Stinger! Boom!
I play a Claritin, so I understand.
Yeah. But then we have dizzying strike, which is
Stunning strike.
Yep. Hindering strike, which it's dealing 1d6 biotic damage, and they have to succeed a strength stamina save or be hindered.
Oh, that's one of the monk strikes, isn't it?
Radiant strike for those who want to do the paladin thing, and for each side point in addition to the base cost, the damage increases by 1 category.
Oh, so it's Thunderblade.
And the debuffs with each of them are, since the effect is concentration, that means you can keep that debuff until you feel like getting rid of it, or until a whole minute has passed. Which a minute in in-game time, that's quite a few turns. Let's see, but then we have energy manipulation. So let's see, you have lightning bolt, for obvious stuff. Energy rays. So this is any ray spell that you've seen. I'd probably lean into frost ray for obvious reasons. Beam of energy, which goes 1 meter wide and 20 meters long.
Boom.
So, unibeam anybody?
I'm just kind of thinking of, I think it's, why did I just forget it? There's an ability as a blue mage that is just like, and I can't remember for the life of me what it's called. It's Apocalypse.
Oh.
And it's insane. But it's like, that's kind of what it's giving me right now.
Let's see. Energy blast. This is the fucking fireball. Like, no bullshit. That is just an energy version of a fireball. That also inflicts blinded, as does energy beam.
Not only is it going to hurt, but you're not going to be able to see for a few seconds.
It is 3d8 energy damage. Whereas the beam is 2d10 energy damage, and for each point you add to the base cost, damage goes up by 1. But it's going to be a while before you'd use something like Energy Blast, because that's got a minimum cost of 5. But then we have Telekinetic Barrier, so this is where your defensive stuff come in. I do like Barrier of Blades here for your thorns effect, and I keep thinking of Virgil with his summoned swords. Not just because I'm a Devil May Cry fan, but also because I like triggering people when playing MVC3. And Virgil in
Nice.
MVC3 is fucking busted.
Hey, look, it's Fly.
Let's see, Force Barrier, which is very nice. Then Telekinetic Levitation. Yep, and of course, why do I feel like you're bringing up Fly just because of the up button story that I've told you guys?
Because it's the only thing. It's really the only spell one of the people in the last D&D game we played used a lot.
Literally would just be like, I'm gonna cast Fly, and then he would be like, I'm gonna cast Fly on the Barbarian now, and I'm gonna cast Fly on this person now, but only the Barbarian, and only this other person, and then only me. And then he would just fly around, and then he would cast freaking lightning bolts on a blue dragon. I'm okay.
You still got PTSD from that.
I was the DM, and I'm not kidding you. I'm the DM, and my fucking wizard is like, I'm just gonna cast lightning bolt on a blue dragon. Are you sure about this? It's a blue dragon, man. Yeah, I'm gonna cast lightning bolt.
You just healed it.
Okay, you're casting lightning bolt on a blue dragon. I need something stronger than this.
Tabby, did I ever tell you about the up button?
No.
I know I told Sig.
You'll have to refresh my memory.
This was one of my earliest times as a player. I decided I'm going to play a thief. And I told my GM, I do not want to do the opening locks and all that. I want to be a thief who's building traps like this is a Tom and Jerry sketch. And one of the ones that I made, and he somehow let me get away with, is a rune trap called the Up Button. And this has been infamous in the years since. When I place the up button on solid ground and someone steps on the 5-foot area where this rune has been placed, they go up. They are treated as if they cast Fly on themselves, going straight up at 40 miles an hour for 6 seconds. Later in the campaign, we're up against a dragon in a cave lined with adamantite. Adamantite, as you're no doubt aware, does not budge for anything. Dragon steps on the trap and ends up hitting the ceiling. The GM is like, all right, he ends up floating smoothly downward. And I'm like, no, he doesn't. The spell's not over. That was like half a second. And he's like, Adamantite's not going to budge. He's not breaking through that. And I'm like, the spell does not care. So, with a literal unstoppable force going up and an immovable object in the adamantite ceiling, you can figure out what happened to the dragon.
Yeah, that's dragon jibs right there.
Estor is displeased. At the dragon, obviously. Estor is my, giant 90 by 90 Titanic dragon. And she's just like, nah, that'll hurt. Whatever. I'll take care of it. It's a flesh wound.
Yeah. Sometimes I'd use the thing outdoors and it wouldn't be... There would be a case where somebody gets launched and we wouldn't hear from them again until right at the end of the campaign, where suddenly somebody drops from the sky. Kind of like
no.
kind of like, I think in one case the GM waited until the end of the campaign, then stop and go, you hear something falling, and then plop. It's like, wait, that's the bandit from the first session.
Yeah.
Basically pulling. Did either of you ever play the original Earthworm Jim?
Yes, the cow launch.
He has played the crap out of that, and he has made me watch.
Earthworm Jim.
So you remember that gag and how long?
Yep.
Like, you think nothing of launching a cow at first until you beat the game, and that cow ends up crushing Princess what's her name.
And then poor Jim gets all depressed and just walks off screen.
But of course, with the dragon incident, we all had to roll Constitution to avoid losing lunch because we were being rained with chunky salsa.
I was about to say with jibs.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna just harken back to the lack of taste whenever it comes to psychological horror. That would really taste bad if it kind of hit you in the mouth.
Probably.
Maybe.
Maybe
unless you like dragons.
I think you'd be more concerned with the fact that everybody's a lot more red.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. You just be like, huh? Is that Kool-Aid? No, not really.
Well, here was the worst part. In the village that they were heading back to, there were a lot of bulls.
Ah, crap baskets. Well, technically, bulls are not. Red. That's a misnomer. But anyway, we're not. So,
the GM decided to use that anyways to mess with us because he wanted an excuse to do a running of the bulls reference. Basically, I think he just wanted to get revenge on me for outwitting him. But with a lot of, if there's any discipline that is probably going to be the one that's used for Gish builds, it is going to be telekinesis.
Mm-hmm.
Especially just boosted strike, since all of the effects for boosted strike have a minimum cost of 1. And it should be noted that with increment, and since it's talking about increasing by 1 category, that doesn't mean that means that the damage goes up by 1 step, not adding additional die. But then we have telepathy. This is where the real mind stuff comes in. Which is a lot of the stuff you'd expect. Mess with emotions, compel people. I think I'd have some fun with irrepressible laughter.
Oh, yes.
Or
See, Instill Compulsion is one of the 2 spells that is basically one of the 2 spells that the other one-trick pony of our last campaign used all the time. He would use, if he wasn't using Mind Thrust, he would be using Irresistible Dance.
I did use Irresistible Dance once to do one giant Cuban Pete joke.
Here's the thing. He would do it. He would use Irresistible Dance because he was a whole lot better, by the way, whenever it came to being like battlefield control than he is a barbarian. I will tell you that. But like, he would use things like Irresistible Dance or Mind Thrust or anything just to eat through all the legendary resistances. So I'm like, hate life. But like, he would use Irresistible Dance, the Irresistible Laughter, Irrepressible Laughter, that kind of thing. He would use those just constantly, just trying to eat through low rolls and stuff like that from bosses. And when that failed, it was like, I'm not gonna let you freaking let me laugh the whole time. I want to freaking shank you with my claws. So that just kind of reminds me of all that. irrepressible laughter falling from.
Mm-hmm.
I found Speak with Dead and Mental Probe.
Mm-hmm.
I found Ulia's favorite spell here somewhere, the Calm.
Mm-hmm. And but
Proceed guys.
Yep. But with
the Stone of Truth.
With that in mind, that pretty much covers all of the psionic effects, and let me do a little experiment. Okay, psionic powers. Let me see where the list of powers starts. So it starts on page 155 and goes all the way up to page 170. So let me get out. Let me do a little bit of a calculation because I want to see what the pages of effect ratio is. So 5. So that's only 15 pages out of 356 pages. So like 4% of the book is 4.2% of the book is spells. Actually, 4.21, which for a book of this size, that's small. Like only 15 pages worth of spells and all but name. Compared to some offenders we've seen, that is very small. But overall, I'd say the magic problem isn't here when it comes to psionic points. Like even though you're going to be getting points very easy, you can't really go Nova with your point use.
Mm-hmm.
That's the vibe I get. What do you guys think of how psionic powers are being used here?
I like them. I think that it's not like, okay, it does feel very magic-y though. And I don't want to say it that way, but it does feel very magic-y. Like,
how?
It feels magic adjacent, at least, just kind of because I guess it's because whenever you're going and you're looking through it, it's like, oh, I recognize that spell from a different game, or I recognize that as a spell.
We already had that with the talents, so I don't see
Yeah.
how that's any different from here. This still describes itself as 5e evolved. So
I'm looking over at things. It's just kind of like things like, well, when your body radiates with a bright light, is that because you've got it's like glowing body? Is that because of something that's sci-fi related, or how is it glowing with a bright light? You know, that kind of thing.
that sort of thing is just going to be up to interpretation. What we have here is just the effects, I'd say.
So I'm not thinking necessarily that it's all magic type, but I like psychic abilities. I'm a huge magic user in general in any game, and I'm very much into anything psychic, anything like that. And also big into being a force user and stuff like that, Star Wars type things. I don't know if magic-y is the right wording on it, but I mean, there are things that are like telekinesis in general is a lot of times associated with magic. So I'd say associated. It's not necessarily.
I will. My response to that is consider that quote that was at the start of the chapter. Magic is just science we don't understand yet.
And I can go with that as well.
Yeah.
Because it's just whenever I'm looking at things like this, most of the time that is associated with, at least in right now, that's mostly associated with more magic types. However, you could very easily position all of this to being very much like, oh well, maybe use something to help with um amplify your mind powers, you know, like the not the powers of your mind necessarily, but just like what you can do with your mind. So like there are a lot of things you can do to make it less magic-y, but
I'm
it,
I'm trying to figure out if the magic-y that you're seeing is there, or if it's a case of brain rot.
it's just, to me, it's like powers of the mind to influence fabric of reality and bending it to one's will. That's very much a magic statement. I mean, it's something that I've seen in magic. That's like, but again, magic science that we don't understand yet.
Yeah. But the point is, I think the closest thing to the Vancian model is just the fact that you don't get your full side points back until you heal, until you do a full rest. So there is that. I think it's mitigated by the fact that you can't blow through your side points all that easily. That and the fact that, despite this game being called 5e Evolved, I don't think you can really put a whole lot of 5e thinking into Farsight. Like, you can't approach encounters the way you would have otherwise. Just as an example. And yeah, there's going to be that framework, but in terms of I'd say it's no more magic-y than Bionics. That being said, I think the only I could see some people saying the available powers that you get would be a little bit limited, but it doesn't come off that way, since, remember, this is a developing characters is on a point-based setup. So that problem doesn't really manifest as much. At least not in the typical manner.
I think
powers.
I was about to say that, and I think that the more limited selection gives you more room for like really big specialization in certain disciplines.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think the powers limit you at all. Like, honestly, like the way that powers are done, I don't think it limits you at all. I think that it definitely is. It broadens the mental horizon of a character who is, you know, supposed to be that. It's all it is it's very much, yes, there might be 5, but in those 5 skills, there are, you know, like 20. There are like 5 or 6 different effects on each of those. So it's not really limiting at all. It's quite literally giving you 1 skill for the price, or 5 skills for the price of 1.
Mm-hmm. Pretty much. And when it comes to the psionic effects, this does put things into a bit of more context when we look back at the psionic-based talents. So a Gish build would actually be stupid easy for this. Certainly a lot of, and it's for that reason that I know somebody might want to do multi-classing with this system. There's not really enough of a reason for it. Hello, I see Riona at the tail end. How are you doing tonight? Like, you wouldn't, if you wanted to do a Gish, do a Jedi build, essentially, you wouldn't even need the Psi class all that much. All you need to do is just one talent, and you could do that already with some of the low end telekinesis stuff.
Yeah, if you wanted to do more utility, Sigma's the way to go. If you wanted to make like a Guardian or a Juggernaut, Delta's the way to go.
Mm-hmm. I think what would be an interesting challenge is, and I might be a little bit biased on this, is trying to adapt the different forms of lightsaber combat into this system. Most of them would be pretty easy to do. The only one that would be difficult, I'd say, is the 7th. Juyo / Vapad, that would be the tricky one to do. Especially since there's no dark side system, because why would there need to be in this? It's meant to be, it's not directly trying to be Star Wars, but you could lean into that. You could just as easily lean into some of the biotics in Mass Effect, as I mentioned. And just to illustrate this kind of thing, I'd say, looking back at Vanguard and Sentinel, those would be relatively easy to do. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if I dug around enough and I'd see somebody doing a Mass Effect campaign using Farsight. But given the I do want to double check Chronicles of the Edge as well to see if there was anything I missed as far as powers there. And there are additional powers. There's a few new powers for Praxis, the first of which is Blood Overpressure.
Oh, jeez. Blood magic. Wonderful.
Yeah. It inflicts 1d6 biotic damage and bleeding. And obviously has no effect on non-living creatures. Let's see. Matter manipulation, which is self-explanatory. Retroactive movement, which teleports you to a spot that you had previously occupied since the start of your last turn. Why am I thinking of Tracer?
Ever get that feeling of deja vu?
Sonic Boom, which is exactly what you think it is. Telekinetic Disc.
Oh, hi, Krillin.
No, I don't think this is the Kienzan, because it can't be used as a weapon, just to carry shit.
Oh,
so it's like Tensor's floating disc.
Yeah.
Yep. Undisturbed repose, so corpse maintenance. But for the illusion discipline, you have illusory copies, which can do misleading duplicates, an illusory double, or a remote illusory double. For metabiosis, you have biopsionic drain. Which the highest tier of it is vitality draining. And at first I thought, oh, that's just a vampiric effect. No, this is worse. On the turn that you cast the power, and then as an action during your subsequent turns until it ends, which is up to 1 minute, you can make a ranged psionic attack against a creature of your choice within range. If you hit, they take 2d6 psionic damage, and you regain vitality equal to half the damage dealt. In addition, the target must succeed on a strength stamina saving throw, or its maximum vitality points are reduced by an amount equal to half the chaotic damage dealt. Any effect that cures diseases allows the target's maximum VP to return to the normal amount. You're not only draining, but you're doing max HP reduction. That is vile.
That is absolutely disgusting, and I love it.
Mm-hmm. Let's see, extra dimensional space, which is exactly what it sounds like, though, bigger on the inside. Psionic sensors, which lets you make floating sensors that essentially is a way to do a psychic drone. One of the examples is investigating eyes, which more or less is arcane eye. It's just invisible. Though psychics can attempt to destroy it, but only psychics can. See, telekinesis, which gives sonic manipulation in Chronicles of the Edge, which you can use to make big noises or to reduce noises. And telepathy has Commander's Influence, which, given the setup that it has with things like tactical objective, order to move, this is battle meditation in all but name. Like, tactical objective, you choose a creature you can see within range, which is short range. Until the start of your next turn, all of your allies who can see the target have advantage on their attack rolls against it. Order to move, choose up to 3 allies you can see within range. They can immediately use their reaction to move up to half their speed. Order to resist, choose up to 3 allies you can see within range. Until the start of your next turn, each target can roll a d4 and add the result to each saving throw they make. Order to strike, choose up to 2 allies you can see within range. These allies can immediately use their reaction to make an attack or manifest a praxis. And tactical coordination, choose up to 4 allies you can see within range. Until the start of your next turn, each target can make a defend or disengage action as a bonus action during their turn. Additionally, alternatively, they can instead spend a d4 and add the result to each attack roll they make during that turn. And collective strategy, choose up to 4 allies that you can see within range. Each of the targets gets an extra action during their next turn. This action is wasted if it's not taken before the start of your next turn and can only be used to make a single weapon attack or a dash or disengage action. The increment is for each side point spent in addition to the base cost. You can target 1 additional creature within range. How is that not battle meditation?
I was about to say, that sounds like, either, as you said, a Gish or like a commander.
This is for people who want to do a warlord build. The people who their weapon isn't what their equipment, their weapon is the rest of the party. Or to quote a old quote I saw once, a barbarian hits you with his axe. A warlord hits you with his barbarian.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
But
Or somebody else.
Obviously, I don't mean that too literal. I'm not going to do the I will hit a motherfucker with another motherfucker yet.
I was about to say, I've done that.
But I'd say the other thing to note that we kind of skimmed when we covered talents is that talents is where you can do meta psionics essentially. Each one you do of that effect just adds 1 more psi point. It just means that you can do more than just increment. Increment is just straight boosting. So with the combination of all that, there's a lot more variety in what you can do with psionics. It's not exactly, in fact, it's not even fire and forget. But I'd say it works out pretty well. And what I think is going to be just as interesting is seeing how people creatively use some of the psionic effects here. But next week we will have our penultimate episode for Farsight. That one, I believe, is going to be covering. Let me check. That's going to be covering allies and foes, and then us giving our final thoughts on Farsight as a whole. And that will mean we will be ending Farsight by the time we're done with the month of July. And going straight into August with what we've got planned, for what we've got planned in August, for those of you watching who are mech fans, if you don't tune in on that, you're going to be missing out on some interesting things. I can say that at the very least. So keep an eye out for that. But until then, on behalf of the good brothers present and not present, my name is Mildra. I am your gaming monk. Stay fucking frosty, everybody.